Hello heroes and welcome back to our second Marvel Land construction update. We have so much to look at this month. I shot footage from 5 different locations at Disney's California Adventure to show you the most recent construction. On the edge of D23 we have a fever pitch of rumors to go through, but first let's get you clearance to view today's top secret data. Place your eyeball up to your device.
Scanning.
Good news, heroes, you have been approved. Welcome to the 2019 Marvel Land Construction Update, the construction update that shows you all the progress as it happens. I love to start these videos off with a design theory of my own. Last month I compared Galaxy's Edge to Marvel Land and the idea of stages above the audience to be able to watch shows. This month I want to work on the theory of a possible ride vehicle. We have scanned into the official coming soon poster provided to us by the Disneyland park, and you see this vehicle in the left-hand side. When the blog WDW Today leaked this possible image of the ride system, many thought that's the vehicle we were seeing. But as I zoom in, I don't think that this is an exact fit. Looking side by side, I see a different shape, making it hard for me to think that the vehicle on the right is the vehicle on the left. If you look at the different contours and curves, you see a flat on the left but curved on the right. As I examine the side of the vehicle, it just doesn't feel like a one-to-one fit. Call me crazy, but I think these two vehicles have way more shape and characteristics in common than the ride vehicle. Starting with the fact that they both have a more flat front, a similar curve at the top, and they each have something sticking out from them. Mirrors on the old train, but possible camera system if the view is obstructed on the Spider-Man wraparound of the red car or trolley. And the one item that's in the exact same spot, this light. It's on the same spot on both vehicles. You can also see that each of them sit on top of a platform on the bottom that seems similar in thickness. What do you think? Please comment below on this theory that I'm throwing out to you. When you look at the artwork, you can see that this could easily be wrapped to be turned into a Spider-Man or Web vehicle. Another theory in this illustration is that everything here has a vanishing point, keeping all items to scale. So even though that child is small in our foreground, you can see that everything has been placed according to scale on these vanishing points that I'm doing a rough rendering of, making a vehicle blocked out to your left much larger than any person or character on display, giving it the size of a train or a larger vehicle system, where a person could stand inside, unlike the cart where it looks like you would have to be seated. Possible other news to support this theory: extra, the red car Newsboys are out of a job. July 23rd was the last performance of the Newsboys, lending credibility to the theory that a Marvel-based train would no longer need Newsboys. They showed up with a suitcase and a dream, but the dream is over. Which brings us to modern day Disney's California Adventure. Let's drop in. I found this construction when I showed up last Tuesday at the park. The furthermost stop on the Red Carly train, that stop is now behind construction walls. As I walk the footprint of this construction, you see it's a pretty large scale project. I absolutely adore these construction characters on the wall. Brochure anyone? That's where I left my bag. A project of this scale would mean that they're definitely investing more money into the train system. This young lady is wasted on the magic. Viewing it from the other side, you get an idea that the entire train station is wrapped around for construction or a refurbishment. Cannot wait to see where this goes. Let's go back up to the sky view. We all know that right now we are seeing construction phase 1 on the Avengers Campus. But could putting more money into the train and seeing the train possibly in the poster say that this route might indicate the full footprint of a future Marvel expansion? The pink area I highlighted is where we're working at right now, but could they expand into this blue area, taking some of the attractions and leaving them the way they are because they would fit into an urban environment, but allowing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas that desperately need retheming. Once again, we have another image from WDW News Today. Now, this is not official Disney artwork, but it is their theory, or their quote-unquote leaked theory, that this is the layout for the Avengers Campus Phase 1. So we're going to assume that a lot of this is true in today's video and point out things that might not feel accurate. Here's the leaked blueprint from outside ears of the construction that is happening over in Paris, where they are also getting a small Spider-Man dark ride. I feel like the parts of this could align with what we're getting here in Anaheim, because this is a small building and this is a small ride with many of tight turns. More leaked images from WDW News Today shows the inside of the riding system and gives us this big scan of a possible loading area. It seems like the theme is that you are at Webb, where they're working on technology provided to us by Stark Industries. One part that feels true are the tight turns, and each one of these images kind of shows a little bit of the last. We're far away from what we just saw, and the spiderweb wreckage that we see to our right is now here on our corner. If you looked at that blueprint, there are lots of tight turns trying to fit a big story in a small space. Here's another turnaround that we're seeing. Yet again, another turn on one of the edges. This, though, is where it feels like it goes off, because there are no side rooms, and this clearly shows the track going into different bays, which is not in the blueprints. I want to say this attraction better have amazing visual effects, because this is a small footprint, and nothing I'm seeing here is overly exciting me. This is what the plot of land looked like before construction, and let's drop in to today. This is pre-construction, official artwork from Disneyland showing us what they're building. And all of my updates leading us up to July 20th. What I started to see in July 20th is a lot more of the purple insulation going inside of the cube buildings. Thank you, Spidey, for pointing those out for me. Also, if you look over at the bridge between the cubes, you can see a lot more layering and infrastructure going into the bridge right there. Thanks, Spidey. Moving forward to July 26, you see both of the cubes looking way more dense and even more infrastructure there on the bridge. Holding this shot, you get an idea of how much more has been put into there since we first started this process at the beginning of June. Let's zoom in to really get some of the details. You see the crane for the possible show, a lot of vertical beam work going in there to allow the workers to have the infrastructure needed to hang everything that will go on this outer facade, and the bridge looking incredibly dense and robust at this moment. The cube building that is closest to us allows us to see the installation starting to be laid out. Moving up to August 13th, though, you can see an enormous amount of the purple insulation on both cube buildings and going across the bridge. It seems as if this process is going to be wrapping up really quickly, and then we'll get to see some extra elements of the outer facade getting placed onto the building. I'd love to know what you think about the scale of this building. Do you think that this is going to be a fun thing to see when you come around the corner? Are you, like me, and a little bit worried about how it might tower over the Junkyard next door? Holding this shot, it's looking pretty mighty for a building fitting in a very small space. Let's take one last scan of the length of this building, and I have to say, staring there and looking at it, it's pretty huge. It's pretty massive. It's going to be a very interesting walkway into the Avengers Campus. Still nothing popping up over in this direction, but I have a feeling that will be changing very quickly in the months and updates to come. There's your complete look at the current state of the Spider-Man front facade. I was able to zoom in a little bit to look below the bridge, and you can see that it's fully wrapped in the insulation. Exciting things to come. Let's go back up to our aerial view. Those were the views we were able to get from the Blue Sky Cellar, but let's move over to Mater's Junkyard. The entryway to Cars Land. Let's drop in. When we look at the current relationship between the Avengers Campus and Mater's Junkyard, I'm very, very fascinated about how they're going to screen these two lands from one another. Zooming in, it gives you an idea of imagining windows and lights and textures of how this is going to be a big part of Mater's Junkyard, unless they're to screen it out with adding extra trees or building some sort of false wall from an urban environment. We're looking all the way back to the far corners, and you can see it all from Mater's Junkyard. It's not going to be very hidden unless they come up with a way to blend these two lands together. This is from the pathway to get on the attraction of Mater's Junkyard. Had a cast member that was nice enough to let me walk up there and take these photographs, giving me an idea of how much it's really going to tower over this attraction when you're standing at its outer perimeter. I have faith that this Disneyland problem can be solved, and I hope that it will be, because what makes all the lands so special is the way that they seamlessly blend into one another. So looking at this design detail for me is just as much fun as wondering what the actual attraction is going to be like. I love this type of creative problem solving, and Disneyland does it better than anyone. Let's go back up to our sky view and head over to Hollywood Land. This is the area that has received the most activity in the past month. First things first, they brought the construction wall out far. In these images provided to us by Stark Industries, though, you can see that they are preserving the train path. With all of the construction that's going on, they are not letting that train path get damaged, which means that the train will probably, most likely, definitely keep running on this exact same path that it had before the Marvel campus went into construction. Looking a little bit over further to our right, we can see tons of earth being moved around, equipment everywhere, but the train path is staying untouched. I believe lending another level of credibility to we might see a train wrapped in some sort of Marvel theming. Bringing that level of kinetic energy to the Marvel campus that is missing from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Now looking back out on the far side of the wall, we can start to see the beginnings of framework that's erected above the construction gate. If we really zoom in there over to our left-hand side, you can start to see white framework that is being erected. This adds a level of credibility to the images that were leaked by WDW News Today, showing that this will be the space for Ant-Man's Micro Brewery, which I have to say is right up there with award wieners for creative names in California Adventure. Moving up 1 week, look how much this project has grown. A massive amount of beams erected all around this footprint, really bringing this restaurant together at a quick pace, and I would hope so with the premiere date somewhere in 2020. We'll be investigating this even more when we have our bird's eye view from on top the Pixar Pal-A-Round. I think what excites me most about this project, as before you had a little bit of an urban landscape and then it went into trees, now that urban landscape is going to keep going, telling this story in a more visual way, making it feel even more dense, urban, and superhero-like. Let's go back to the sky. That's your August update from Hollywoodland, but now let's work our way over to the far corner of the park. Let's take a ride on the Pixar Pal-A-Round and see what we can view from up high. Let's first go back at all the weeks that we've captured thus far. Bringing us to the current state of play, from this vantage point, you can see the full amount of work that has been done. Over in the far right, not seeing that much activity. 7:26, The Spider-Man attraction now has a hole cut in the old Bugs Life theater. Now, with a little bit of height added to our vantage point, you can see the footprint of the alleged brewery coming together. Over on our far left, you see the box buildings coming together, and that outer edge, which might be a stage, is starting to get sheeted up. This is the 726 view of the brewery, but so much more has been done. Let's examine the unofficial images leaked by WDW News Today at what exactly is being built in this corner of the park. This is unofficial artwork, and I hope that it's not official artwork because it lacks the charm and creativity of an amazing name like Ant-Man's Micro Brewery. Other than bugs' wings for canopies that are over the top of the tables, where is the imagination in this concept artwork? From the poster, we got the promise of a giant can and lighting systems. This illustration shows none of that imagination. And when we look at the other artwork that WDW News Today released, this looks like the current state of Tomorrowland. It has that same sort of poor man's view of the future with weird angles and everything kind of being tubular, but yet still fitting in rectangles and squares of modern architecture. I love looking at leaked images because I like to decide if it's true or not, and I'm begging that this portion isn't true. It lacks the spirit and imagination, but it does reinforce my theory that Marvel Land will make Tomorrowland completely irrelevant. I'm torn because I can see that fitting in that footprint. I just hope that we're getting shown the outer shell and that there's a level of storytelling and theming that's going to come later as they fully render out what this building's going to be. Let's move up to 813, and my oh my, as we climb into the sky, you can see the density of the microbrewery. The box in the center of the construction project of the top floor of the building matches the possibly leaked images from WDW News Today. I am enjoying the way all of this is going to wrap around and meet you from one way of the path to the other. It does feel like a complete idea. But this is exciting. We're getting to look at this trailway, this path, half of it coming together, and the different buildings that we'll get to walk past, the different way that it'll be shaped. Could there be places to sit and eat and shows going on up high? Each one of these buildings having a very unique positioning, so there's lots of different angles and edges of adventure. And the best part is, this is only half of it. We're not even seeing the construction yet that will be facing everything that we're looking at, the opposite side of the street. You can see that Disney's got all kinds of workers out there, equipment out there going around the clock to try to bring us the Marvel Land Avengers Campus as soon as possible. Comment below. What do you think about these theories? What do you want to be true? What do you hope that's not true? And D23 is coming up, where we'll hopefully learn so much more about the construction of the Avengers Campus in Anaheim. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Please leave a comment and share. I'll see you heroes next month with another construction update from Disney's California Adventure at the Disneyland Resort. But until then, live the magic every day.